obviously the Black Keys, known as kind of a blues rock band and a rock band, and kind of one of the few mainstream sort of rock acts out there today. But Willie, right now, if you look at the year of 2021, this has really been kind of the year of rock so far. There's a lot of really good rock albums coming out. You've got Greta Van Fleet released their album. Dirty Honey just released their debut album. You had the Smith Kotzen album. So you got a lot of stuff coming out. Is 2021 the year of rock, Willie?
I don't know. That's a hard prediction to make, especially considering the trajectory that rock and blues rock and rock and roll in general has had, which is a smaller and smaller market share. I think certainly the first offerings of this year have been really solid. They really have really dug into some new sounds. There's some new bands. There's some bands that have gotten even just that much bigger. I think that some of 2021 will have some of that leftover from 2020 that never really happened. People who actually weren't able to put on tours or concerts. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff in that regard as well. Will it be the year of rock? I think maybe the best chance for that happening is because after a year like 2020, you have such a shakeup. So because things have been all shook up and people are sort of wandering around, really just sort of coming out of their shells, I think that that's an opportunity where rock can maybe step in, regain some of that market share. I think that one of the things that rock has always done is they've tended to be very concert focused, and album and concerts together. I think you're going to have people who are really foaming at the mouth to go to shows. And I still think of a lot of genres. I think rock and rolls, like they tend to be the best shows, because when we're talking about pop music or rap music, I think so much of it now is centered on marketing, music videos, even more social media than maybe rock and roll.
It's more of an entertainment show specifically than about the music and playing.
Exactly. And I think people want that right now. I think people have had more than enough of things they can see on social media or marketing or branding. So I think that rock has that advantage on some other genres, is that it is best live and in concert. And I think people are going to want to do that. But Pete, is it the year of rock? You know, they say that the trend is your friend. I don't want to make any bold claims that all of a sudden rock and roll is back and it's going to be the biggest category again. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Willie. I don't think it's necessarily the year of rock just yet, but I think with the albums coming out this year and the albums that have already come out this year, there's certainly rock as a genre is taking a nice step in 2021 and getting back out there, because you are having releases from the heavy hitters in the genre. Right. We talk about Richie Kotzen a lot being so prolific. I mean, the guy just puts out album after album after album every single year.
Right.
And then he teams up with Adrian Smith to release the Smith Kotzen album. And both of us have heard that album, and we both think it's one of the best, and it's going to go down as one of the best albums released in 2021. And that album came out in March. Then you've got the Greta Van Fleet album, and that's obviously doing very well as far as rock bands today. I mean, they're as mainstream as it gets for this genre. They're getting out there. They're bringing in a lot of new people. Dirty Honey releasing their debut album. They're seeing a lot of success, especially for an independent band. They're getting out there. And I think it's really positive for this music as a whole that a lot of this stuff is coming out around the same time. And I think that's really going to help a lot of these artists and a lot of their fans kind of discover the other artists who are making this music and coming out right now. So you've got those three albums that came out. There's another album coming out in May from a band that was actually featured on the Blues Rock Review album sampler that just came out. You can get that free download at bluesrockreview.com, called The Damn Truth. And they're out of Montreal, Canada. And if you have not heard this band, go check them out. Download the track that's on the Blues Rock Review album sampler, volume 12. This Is Who We Are Now is the name of the track. This band is fantastic, and they've been around for a while, and it's kind of crazy, and I'm a little embarrassed that I hadn't heard of them before. But yeah, now I've been listening to their new album, and it's not out yet, but yeah, it's definitely great. The singer reminds me a little bit of Beth Hart. She's got these this really raw powerhouse vocals, and it's just really killer stuff. So that's another band that has an album coming out this year that's really great. You've got Rival Sons has been in the studio. I think their new album is going to be coming out at some point this year. So you've got a lot of stuff coming out in 2021. So while it may be premature to say 2021 is the year of rock, I think it's definitely a year in which the genre is taking big steps in getting back towards the mainstream and getting heard by more people.
And I think part of those steps that you're talking about is something I find, and I'm guilty of it myself, is a lot of us whose favorite music genre is the old rock and blues, we tend to come at late adoption of technology. And I think some of these bands and some of these acts are finally getting around to the mentality of whether you like it or not, if you want to reach people today, you've got to sort of have a pretty strong social media presence. You've got to do a little bit of self-promotion. And I think for the longest time, a lot of people in rock were just not really doing that. So I think that's also sort of behind the scenes helped the cause.